Hey, welcome to Divisive Issues, a special episode here. Usually we talk controversial issues in comics and the wacky, the zany, and whatever the rest of the Looney Tunes theme goes. Tiny Toons, whatever. This week, though, we're doing a special episode. We're talking about the smash hit movie Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Very natural title. Rolls right off the tongue.
Well, we already know how this is going to go.
So, who are you, mystery host man?
Mystery host. We're like 9 episodes in or whatever.
You still gotta say your name. That's how it works.
Say my name, say my name. I'm Joe Santa.
I'm Sly Crappa.
And I'm Ryan Lynch.
This episode, we have a very special guest. You've may heard her name mentioned on this podcast before. Frequent supporter of the show and beautiful lady, Ariel.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Long overdue. And
We're not that far into the show.
it's 9 episodes. We should have a guest star.
Okay, if you say so.
This is our crossover. She's Batman, and we're Superman.
Divisive Issues versus Ariel Zara.
We've tricked her into being here so we could fight her.
I take it back. This is actually the episode title.
This is an intervention.
Divisive Issues Podcast v. Ariel Zara. Dawn of Podcast.
Fine.
Okay, so how are we gonna pierce this veil?
We're gonna
and get
pierce
into
this. All right. So
No,
for those of you that don't know, this is the sequel by definition to the Man of Steel movie, which came out
Some time ago.
2013. 2013. Came out, hit the theaters, and this is now the second entry in what DC is making in their cinematic movie universe.
So before we get into the movie, let's give a little bit of backstory on Man of Steel.
Yeah.
We're not really going to talk too much about the plot of Man of Steel because they do recap it in the movie more or less. But Man of Steel, like you said, came out and I wasn't listening.
2013.
2013, and was a darker take on Superman,
Yes.
more or less. How did we feel about Man of Steel? I know Ariel didn't see it.
Nope.
I felt okay. There are parts of it that I really liked. I thought that the actor did a great job. I thought it was better shot, but this was very much a rookie super. I looked at it as this is very much a rookie Superman who's in way over his head when it comes to fighting and making decisions. He very much comes off as a Superman at the beginning of his career. And this really is. He doesn't have a lot of experience before this movie starts, where
Yeah.
he's actually Superman. So that made me able to forgive a lot of the flaws of the movie and a lot of the decision making that happens. But for the people who didn't like this as a take of Superman, I absolutely understand why.
I felt that Zack Snyder's the director of both Batman v
Yes.
Superman and Man of Steel, and if you're familiar with Zack Snyder's work, like 300, Sucker Punch, Watchmen, he's very visual, but I feel he misses a lot of character work, and his movies look really great, but don't always hold up to multiple watches. I actually really liked Man of Steel the first time I saw it, but after I saw it a second or third time, I started to feel that it was very bleak and hopeless, which is kind of the opposite of how I feel about Superman. And I felt very, like, who am I rooting for here? So I wasn't too optimistic going into Batman v Superman. What about you, Sly?
I wouldn't mind if it was a young Superman starting out, but my problem with the film was I felt it was tone deaf to its own messages in the film. Because they tried to show that Superman's trying to. The problem I have is Superman blows up a lot of buildings, a lot of collateral damage, a lot of people die in the middle of these big fights between him and Zod. And they show Superman's trying to protect people. Like they have one scene where he's in Kansas and he tells people, "Go to your homes, stay, lock your doors, make sure you don't come out. We're gonna have this big fight in the streets." My problem in the movie is the scene before that was Superman bringing the villains to that same town, throwing them through the gas station, blowing up said gas station, and making them land in the middle of that town. And then after he tells everyone, "Go to your homes," he starts throwing the villains into train stations and stuff. He does not move the fight out of the town whatsoever. If it felt like a purposefully executed depiction of Superman being clumsy, I would accept it. But it seems like it didn't understand what it was doing when it was making Superman throw Zod into the middle of town. Like it felt like it was tone deaf to its own attempt at Superman.
The best way I could put it is in Ant-Man, we see Ant-Man taking more of an effort to save ants than we see of Superman trying to save human beings in Man of Steel.
Yeah. No, I think that's very fair. My whole thing was, and the way I kind of justify it is he's never fought anyone, anyone at his own power level. But like I said before, all the gripes that people have, I completely, totally, I get it.
Okay, so I think that's enough about Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Let's get into Batman v Superman.
Would you
The Dawn
recommend
of
it?
Justice.
Dawn of
Dawn of Justice.
Beavis Dudge.
Yeah, Beavis Dudge.
Yeah.
So, who would you recommend to see this movie? Let's start with the newbie, Ariel.
I would not recommend this movie to anyone.
It's like she's listened to our podcast before.
You know the deal. So, you don't think anyone should watch it?
Not really. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it for children. I wouldn't. Like, there's good action scenes, but not enough good action scenes for me to suggest it to people who, like, are going to see an action movie. It's not, like, great for superheroes either. It doesn't portray them very well.
So we've seen that before where we talk about books, we're like, who is this for? What audience is this trying to reach? I'm inclined to agree. The only people I could see really liking this movie are people that hate Superman.
I agree.
Okay.
I agree.
If you think Superman is a chump and boring, and you don't get why people like this Boy Scout, I think you'll think this movie's awesome. What about you, Joe?
I would recommend this movie to anyone who just isn't going to take it seriously and pretend that this like stands alone and wasn't actually part of a cinematic universe.
Then why would you watch it?
To watch a movie, the same way you would pick up, same reason why you would read like Red Dawn Superman.
There are better movies.
Well, he's not saying don't see any other movies.
I'm not saying like you shouldn't watch like the Christopher Reeve Superman movies and
Fuck
like
that movie.
instead of
This is a different Superman right here.
You're asking me who I would recommend this to. Anyone that just wants to see like this dark, gritty, alternate take on these characters.
Like the superhero films of old, where we, like in the 90s, when we would see superhero movies that were just a movie.
Yeah.
They didn't necessarily have to tie into a bigger narrative.
Yeah.
It was just, it's the new Batman movie.
Yeah.
You don't have to see any other Batman movies to get it. It's just a Batman movie.
Yeah, if you could look at it like that, like look at it like a Red Sun Superman, or look at it like a look at it as a Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, which is a book that would definitely
which
be
is
mentioned.
heavily influenced this movie in terms of design and tone. Then you know what? Sure, go see it. If you can live with the flaws of it and just look at it as a movie.
Also, if you have
Sure.
like 40 hours to kill, this movie's so long.
2.5 hour runtime.
If you have a bladder of steel like
A
Superman.
platter of steel.
But I'd have a hard time when I came home and I'm talking to my parents. I'm like, I would have a tough time taking a child to see this movie.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
It is very bleak.
The fact that it has a rated R cut coming out on DVD
Is scary to me.
is scary.
Because I don't know what, like, I'm just trying to imagine what that's like, and I almost don't want to.
Yeah. What about
But
you,
that's
son?
what I
Oh,
recommend for.
sorry.
If it's just like, if you want to see alternate take, a Red Sun Superman, I keep blanking on it, Dark Knight Returns type movie, sure, go see this, but don't try not to take us on anything more than that. But that's kind of the flaw of this, is that it is more than that.
It is the grimmest superhero movie I've ever seen. And I don't mean grimmest from McDonald's. I mean the grimmest superhero movie. What
Side
about
one
you,
about
son?
you, yeah.
I agree with Ariel. I think she got a good head on her shoulders and she'll go well on this podcast.
Okay. Who wants to start this?
I'll take the dream sequence.
Okay.
Because that's what it is.
Okay,
It opens up with...
There are a lot of dream sequences in this movie.
Yeah.
I hated that, actually. So I'll open this up. The first dream sequence is we have a cutbacks, like a juxtaposition of the death of the Waynes,
Which I thought was done very well.
If you've ever seen any Death of the Waynes
It's every
scene,
single
it
one in
is
one
just
scene.
yes, it is like that.
I thought
With-
this stood out though.
Yeah.
This was a good retelling.
This is a concise one, but it tells like the pearls, the gunshot, everything's exactly what you imagine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was quick, it was concise, but that's what I liked about it.
Yeah.
We all know the story, but I thought it was done very poignantly. I actually thought that the opening was probably one of my favorite parts of the whole movie.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay, so there's that, and then it cuts back and forth between that and the scene of Bruce Wayne running away at the funeral. You get the classic falling in a well scene and the bats flying around him.
But they start lifting
Except,
up to the
and
yeah,
then
sky.
the bats like levitate him out, and that's when I was like, okay, what's going on?
Yeah, me too. I'm glad we all had the same like, what the hell is happening here type
Yeah.
reaction to that part.
Here's why I don't like that scene that much, because all the visuals from it feel so ripped off from Batman Begins. Like, even him falling down the well and the bats circling around him. The only thing that really added to it was the weird him flying shit.
The thing is, Batman Begins is so great that I would rather watch Zack Snyder emulate Batman Begins than try to tell his own story.
That's fair.
So he wakes up, like, and there's like a voiceover about
Yeah.
how the bats lift him up in the
Yeah.
dream.
But it's a lie.
Yeah, but it's a lie.
Yeah.
Everything is darkness.
Yeah, I don't get how it's a lie. It's a dream.
Yeah.
How is
It
it?
What is, by
Exactly.
definition is a lie of his memory.
Yeah,
Like that's not what happened. I assume he just cried when all
Yeah.
the bats flew. The bats didn't help, and the bats just flew around and like left him alone. So yeah, that happens, and then
it fast forwards, right?
we get the cut of during Man of Steel. It's Man of Steel from Bruce Wayne's perspective running through Metropolis.
So
Yeah.
this is the plot of Man of Steel that matters.
Yeah.
Superman and Zod, who's also a Kryptonian,
Yes.
and superpowered, same superpowers as Superman, super, had a giant fight in Metropolis and leveled the city.
Yeah.
Somebody actually calculated the damage done, like
Yeah.
money-wise, and I've never seen destruction like this in a
Yeah.
superhero movie, outside of Man of Steel. And it's basically just them destroying the city from the street level perspective, from Bruce Wayne's perspective.
Yeah.
And a bunch of Bruce Wayne's friends die in Wayne Tower.
Yeah.
Yeah. They go into the Wayne Enterprises branch of Metropolis, and most of the building comes down.
Yeah, and I actually thought this scene was really well done, even though I hated it, but I didn't hate it for this movie's fault.
Yeah.
It just reminded me of how bleak and grim and dark and lifeless Man of Steel was. So, because they kind of addressed that at the beginning of the movie, I actually went in during the scene being like, oh, they're addressing how horrible that was. They are going to make Superman... They're going to show the consequences of this. And that could be interesting. So I was intrigued by this scene.
I love this scene. I love seeing the human perspective of
Yeah.
two gods destroying your city in their super fight.
Yeah.
I actually love the scene too, and the movie does actually give you a good setup to why Batman hates Superman. Like
Yeah.
you believe that Batman will hate
Yeah,
Superman in
'cause-
this context.
Yeah.
You
It's
see
his
Batman
building. He
like
goes through-
holding this
yeah.
girl, and you see Superman. He's watching Superman go through a building and smash Zod through the whole building, and he's holding this girl that he just saved from, like, dying.
Yeah.
It is. It's scary. Like you get the fear level of the common person
Yeah.
watching this go on.
Speaking of the common people, one of the important people he saves, it's
Yeah.
going to come back later, is one of the Wayne employees. He had rubble and debris fall on his legs.
Yeah.
And Bruce Wayne saves him.
Yes.
I think this is a good time to talk briefly about, how do you feel about Ben Affleck in this movie?
I thought it was great.
I think across the board, the casting, I really enjoyed in this movie.
I kind of thought he'd do a pretty good job, at least as Bruce Wayne, which he nails in this particular scene.
Yeah.
I love the casting in this movie. I wish they had more to work with.
Yeah.
Them. I wish they had a more faithful adaptation to work with. So
Okay, so
But after this,
after this is when it fast forwards 18 months
yes,
later.
18 months later. Does it open in Africa?
it goes, yeah, Lois.
Yeah.
Okay, it opens. Then we have Lois in Africa. She's interviewing like a terrorist military leader, exclusive for the Daily Planet, and it's discovered that the photographer that she brought with her is actually a CIA spy.
Did you like the Jimmy Olsen cameo there?
Was that meant to be Jimmy Olsen?
In the R-rated cut, Zack Snyder confirms that was Jimmy Olsen.
Well, he doesn't last long, Jimmy Olsen.
And Zack Snyder said, we didn't have a major role for Jimmy Olsen in this big cinematic universe, so we thought Zack Snyder said what he does to Jimmy in this film, he thought would be fun. And what he has is Jimmy Olsen gets shot in the head.
That sums up Zack Snyder's whole look at this movie, I think. It'll be fun.
I think this was a good take on, all the quirky Silver Age Jimmy Olsen stories where Jimmy Olsen's a CIA, Jimmy Olsen's a CIA-like agent, and it goes horribly wrong.
But Jimmy Olsen was like a millionaire for a day, or when he turned into the Turtle Boy.
Exactly.
Now he's a CIA agent.
He's a CIA agent.
How
and
wacky is that?
Things go poorly for Jimmy Olsen. But because this is the Batman vs Superman universe, it goes poorly and he dies.
Yeah. This is the ruins of the DC universe.
Oh yeah, it is. It's a good comparison.
Yeah. So anyways, he dies. And who would come to Lois's rescue but Superman, who comes bursting through.
He smashes the tyrant through the wall.
Yeah.
Lots
Yeah,
of
lots of
through.
He murders
destruction.
him.
And at the same time, a couple of the terrorist guys
Yeah.
turn on all their buddies and kill everyone there.
Everyone, and this isn't just like terrorists, but this is also the whole village.
Yeah.
Yeah, that they're occupied in. So then we cut to this. Is this the hearing? Yeah, the courtroom hearing.
When do they cut to the scuba scene?
Oh, that happened right before the Lois Lane, where they find the kryptonite.
Yeah.
Another part of there are two things in Minnesota's got two-front battle. The first was in Metropolis, and the other part was over the Indian Ocean, where Superman tries to destroy this terraforming type machine, kind of, sort of.
It was bizarre. Basically, there's these natives snorkeling and treasure hunting, and they find a big green rock.
It's kryptonite.
Well, he cracks
it's
it open.
kryptonite.
Yeah, it's crap. It's pretty
kryptonite,
obvious.
yeah.
I said kryptonite.
It's crap. This movie's crap. Yes.
It is kryptonite.
So back to the courtroom.
All right, the courtroom is they're having hearings on Superman. It's like a U.S. Senate hearing regarding Superman, and the incident in Africa comes up, and they're holding Superman accountable, essentially.
A cannibal?
Accountable.
They're holding him accountable?
They're trying to, but
They blame for the Africa slaughter.
They
that
think
happened.
Superman's the one who killed the villagers.
Yes.
Which makes no
They
sense.
do argue. Senator Finch says, well, he took out these terrorists, left a power vacuum, and chaos ensued. So just because he can do something doesn't mean he should do something.
I'm not gonna lie, Superman was my favorite part of this movie.
Really?
Yeah. Because it's a world, they create a world where Superman's not allowed to be Superman.
Well, here's the thing, though. This is my problem with this. And I feel like this is as good a time as any to jump in with this. They do something that we've talked about a lot, of telling us, not showing us. That they say Superman inspires people, and he brings hope, and he's a savior to so many people. We don't see that. We
Agreed.
see a small montage of him saving,
a small montage that's shown in a very creepy way.
it feels very dark and scary, even when we're supposed to be inspired, I guess. So
Yeah.
I just felt like they did a lot of this where they kept telling us people love Superman. But I saw Man of Steel, and I already love Superman. They didn't have to sell me, and I didn't feel like he earned any love from anybody. I don't get why he's so beloved. He destroyed a city.
I actually got the impression that everyone hates Superman.
Me too, except for Metropolis, where they loved Superman.
Which
And
they
Lois.
shouldn't. Oh, and Lois, yeah. It's okay. LexCorp.
Oh wait, before you see LexCorp, you see that scene where Batman brands. the
Oh yeah,
guy.
great scene.
So this is
Okay.
a pretty
Yeah, let's start with
standard kind of Batman introduction, where there's cops investigating some sort of, I guess, human trafficking place, and they find a bunch of women locked up in a cell in the basement. And they say, okay, we're going to take you home. So they keep saying, the nightmare saved us, the demon saved us. And they try to get them out of the cage, or out of the
No,
cell.
no, no,
And
no.
they go, no, he's
Yeah, they
still
refuse.
here.
They close the door back.
Yeah.
Which I
And they
think is
try to-
really cool.
yeah.
Because, I think Batman's done pretty well in this movie. But I've seen
I
Batman...
almost think he's done pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of flaws. But this was a really cool scene where Batman has saved them, but they're just as afraid of Batman as they were of their captors. And they don't they don't even want to accept the freedom Batman gave them until Batman is gone. So the cops hear Batman upstairs, they run upstairs to look at him, and they find...
Some guy, he's tied up and he has a bat brand on his chest.
Batman seared his bat logo onto this guy's chest.
Yeah.
Essentially, if he took a batarang and made a branding iron out
I think
of it.
that is exactly what he does.
I like to think he put it up against the because he has the guy tied to the radiator.
Yeah.
I think he held the batarang up to the radiator and
Yeah.
then like placed it on his
So they see him, and then they see Batman in the corner, and the police guy starts shooting at Batman.
This is really silly. He is up in the corner of like the ceiling,
Yeah.
like held onto the wall, but he like waits there in the light until the guy
awkwardly.
sees him. It's
Yeah,
really
it
awkward.
is.
Batman's just like, I hope he doesn't see me.
Yeah.
That's
It's
how it felt.
it's like if your parents come into a room while you're like jerking off or something, you hide in the corner, and you hoping they don't see you.
Sly, why are you pantsless in the corner?
Because I'm masturbating. I just explained it.
I was supposed to be your mom in that scene. I like to think you hide, and then you're like, you found me, Mom.
Got me red-handed. Literally.
Anyway.
Literally?
And I got, burn marks from chafing.
Oh, Jesus, Sly.
This is exactly what this
so-
episode needed, apparently.
So then the cops, shoot at Batman,
Yeah.
and then one of the other cop,
Almost kills the other cop with a shotgun.
so he thinks it's Batman. He goes to shoot him. The guy goes, "You almost took my face off," and then he says,
You're not Nicolas Cage.
"Yeah."
He's like, sorry, I never saw him before.
Yeah, and then the other cop says, "Sorry. Try not to shoot at the bad guys. Try to not shoot at the good guys." Which I kind of took as there were some cops who liked Batman.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
took
No,
that too.
they say later on that Clark Kent gets pissed off because all parts of Gotham don't go after Batman. They basically say, what are you going after Batman for? He's like helping us. And Clark's like, this is bullshit. He's like searing criminals and stuff.
Now, at this point, I felt like this was a new Batman, but later on they say he's been Batman for like 20 years.
I assumed it was a retired Batman like it was in Batman Dark Knight Returns.
Dark Knight Rises or Dark Knight Returns?
Whatever.
Both of them.
But just to clarify, since you mentioned Dark Knight Returns is a story where a retired Batman comes back and from retirement. Superman says stop being unretired. Batman says no, and then they fight, and Batman beats the shit out of Superman.
It is one of the most iconic, gritty Batman stories, if not the most. But it's just 4 issues. It's not supposed to be the established universe.
Yeah, it it started the Elseworlds concepts of Punisher kills Mario universe, that kind of stuff. But Zack Snyder's like, I want this to be the basis of our universe.
Yeah, so I thought it was weird how Batman's like this whole branding thing, like he's making news as if he's new.
Yeah, I think the branding
the
was
branding
new.
is
The branding
new.
was new.
The
Yeah.
branding is like his new.
But even the way Superman talks about Batman later, I
Yeah.
felt like he was just finding out about him for the first time. But they say Batman's been around for 20 years.
Well, what we're saying here is this movie does not clarify the Batman's role in this universe very well.
Yeah,
No.
for sure.
No, it doesn't. But I did like the older veteran.
No,
Batman.
I did. I
Yeah.
liked it a lot too.
I like Dark
Especially
Knight Returns.
after.
It's a good movie, good
Well,
book.
he was older, but he wasn't like 50 or 60 like he is
Yeah.
in Dark Knight
He
Returns.
has gray hair though.
Yeah, and Ben Affleck, he looked
Bruce Wayne.
like Bruce Wayne. He
Yeah.
did a great job.
Yeah, as Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
And his Batman was...
As a Michael Keaton-esque murderous Batman, he's pretty good.
He kills
Thank-
a lot of fucking people in this movie.
Yeah, he does. We'll get to that later.
Like, no subtle. Like, he definitely kills a bunch of
Oh
people.
yeah, big time.
Well, we should mention this now. Like, this movie talks about this matchup as it's day versus night. But
Did you see...
Superman kills people, and Batman
And
kills
Batman,
people. So
yeah.
it's evening versus...
Later
Dusk.
on,
Twilight.
evening.
Yeah, like, it's not day versus night.
I feel like Superman at least feels bad. Batman has no remorse when he murders these people.
Did you guys see the Dayman versus Nightman recut of the trailer? Where they
No.
took the song from
Oh,
Always
okay.
Sunny and put it over the trailer?
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
I just heard the Toll Troll song from that same episode, which is pretty great.
So, okay. Now LexCorp?
Yes,
Finally?
LexCorp.
So you're in
So
LexCorp.
I want to give a little background. Sly reads the advanced scripts on these things, and he said the whole LexCorp was open up with like this like wacky montage of Lex Luthor playing basketball and like doing stuff. And it's really funny to me because when it looks like I believe the senator walks in,
Yes.
Yeah.
With like a committee.
with another committee member who Lex brokers a deal with, but it opens up with Lex playing basketball.
In a very, like, new media,
Yeah.
like, Google type of...
Corporation,
Corporation.
like they have this big open rec room, but I was just like, oh my god, he's playing basketball.
I think Lex Luthor is the best comic book villain that has ever existed, personally. I'm a huge Lex Luthor fan. This Lex Luthor is not Lex Luthor at all. He is so...
He's a Joker.
He's like a fool.
He's a fool. However,
Like
I will say
crazy,
Jesse
psychotic.
Eisenberg was my favorite part of this movie. Watching him chew the scenery was the most fun I had in this entire film, and I yearned for the time he was on the screen.
I found him really annoying. Some actors can ham up and be really fun. He was trying to be the Joker of this movie. He was not a good Joker.
I loved it.
I'm siding with Ryan on this one. I think he played the role that character was supposed to be to a T.
Yes.
It's
A shitty,
clearly
terrible role.
it is
But
not
that is not his fault.
that is not his fault.
I'm not blaming. I should clarify. I'm never blaming Jesse Eisenberg on this. I'm blaming the fact that he's playing a terrible role and doing his fucking Social Network impression.
It is a hammed up, like,
Yeah, he's chewing the
crazy, but he does it very well. Like, to his credit, he makes the most out of this not Lex Luthor.
Ariel, back me up. Was this terrible or not?
I think at first I didn't like it at all because I was like, this isn't Lex Luthor. I don't get it. But then once he was crazy the whole time, I was like, I guess he's just a crazy, like, Okay, my initial reaction was like, he's trying to be the Mad Hatter. That's what... I was like, he's got fluffy hair and he's wearing polka dot shirts.
He does look like the Mad Hatter.
He's wearing polka dot shirts and sneakers, and this is not any Lex Luthor that I'm familiar with. But...
Joe mentioned this before, briefly, when we talked about the score. He walks down a hallway at one point, and it plays basically the Imperial March from Star Wars.
Dump, 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 dump,
And-
And again, he has like this crazy scientist hair and a polka dot shirt on.
He's very manic.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
very
And
manic.
as soon as I saw him like doing this like goofier version of the Imperial March, walking down this hallway, I was like, this is great. This is fun. This is the only fun that this movie has. And you know what?
And it's the villain, of course.
Yeah.
The villain's more fun than the actual heroes.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Because it's DC now. But when I was watching it, I was like, if I just accept this, like Joe said, as just an Elseworlds whatever, I enjoyed the ride Jesse Eisenberg gave us a lot.
Yeah.
But, you know,
We have to. The movie goes on.
the movie goes on. It is not
And-
just the Jesse Eisenberg comedy hour,
Yes.
which would have been way better.
All right, so pretty much the council comes to him for help. Lex Luthor initially pitches the idea of a kryptonite bullet as a Superman deterrent to the senator who's holding the
Finch. Her.
yeah, who's
No,
holding
he pitches it to...
He pitches it to both of them first.
yes.
What he has is he has a sliver of kryptonite, and he says, "I want to I want to weaponize this as a way to kill Superman." And one guy goes,
A Superman deterrent, as
Yeah.
he
Oh
says.
yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
"But yeah," he goes, "We don't have to necessarily use it, but for the day that Superman turns evil, if he does, we should have a way to stop him. This
Yeah.
will stop him from going bad."
Yes.
One senator likes the idea. Senator Finch, though,
Who runs the committees?
who runs the committee, doesn't. And
Yeah.
he's basically, all he's asking is for permission to import the big rock of kryptonite because it's like a radioactive mineral or whatever. He needs government permission to import it from India.
Yeah.
Then she goes, "We'll think about it."
Yeah.
And leaves. And then one of the guys stays back to talk to him.
Yeah. And this is where that deal comes in?
Yes.
Okay, so pretty much the other guy is very much all for it.
This scene actually happens way later, but just for make it simpler.
Does it?
It does come. The editing this movie is garbage. It's
It
fucking
is,
trash.
yeah.
Go ahead, Joe.
So, and also, I think our confusion is indicative of the general audience's confusion that this movie is edited so poorly.
They jump around quite a
Yeah,
bit.
there's very few establishing shots. It just goes from scene to scene. There's no
And
natural
dream to
flow
dream.
to scenes.
Dream to dream.
And the fact that so many scenes don't actually happen in their hallucinations, and some of these dream scenes are long.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like 15, 20 minutes long.
Yeah. All right. So Lex Luthor he brokers the deal with the guy in exchange for access to the Kryptonian ship from
Yeah.
the Man of Steel movie.
Zod's ship that crashed.
Yes, and he wants Zod's body,
Yeah.
which the government has.
And they give it to him real fast.
Yep, in exchange for a cherry Jolly Rancher, which Lex Luthor pops in the guy's mouth.
And then licks his fingers, and it's awesome.
Really patronizingly puts this cherry Jolly Rancher.
We
in
bitch
his
about
mouth.
the product placement in Man of Steel. I have to give this movie credit because when my brother went to see the movie, he came back with a huge bag of Jolly Ranchers.
I have to say that Jolly Rancher looked delicious, and I haven't had a Jolly Rancher in a long time.
Product
agree.
placement works.
But I only want a Jolly Rancher if Jesse Eisenberg could put it in my mouth.
Pop in my mouth.
And my Jolly Ranger means something else
So then for some reason,
for some reason.
I forget the like transition.
All of a sudden it
But
cuts. Yeah.
Batman is like, I want to get the kryptonite for me.
Batman tells Alfred that someone is importing a dirty bomb into Gotham,
Yeah.
and that's what he's investigating.
Yeah.
And he thinks Lex Luthor has a tie to it. So
Yeah.
Alfred says that he was invited to a party at Lex Luthor's house, so he's going to go and investigate. Now, there's one thing I do want to point out about this scene. Batman wakes up from another weird-ass dream.
Yeah. There are two things I'd like to do. Does he do detective work before this?
Yes.
Okay, I would like to point out that he does more detective work in this one scene than Nolan Batman does.
Yeah.
What about the bullet
trilogy.
scene? That bullet they found for Joker and put together.
Okay,
and...
I do like that scene, but this is different. This is Batman doing like actual legwork.
Normally, this is where I would be like, explain how that bullet scene works, but we're not talking about that tonight right now.
No.
So, he
goes to a fighting ring and
yeah.
as Bruce Wayne, which I like.
I think this is stuff that's between the two Lex scenes, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what it was.
He does a lot of investigating that doesn't really have any correspondence with the plot.
Yeah.
He basically he's investigating this thing.
There's something going on at the harbor, and he does investigation.
Yeah, he clones
which is nice.
some Russian mercenaries'
Phone,
and he's actually the mercenary that we saw kill everyone in the desert.
Yes. Yeah.
So he gets the lead that Lex Luthor hired this mercenary guy. They're bringing in something, and he tells Alfred it's a dirty bomb.
Yeah.
And when he has this scene with Alfred, he's in this like lakeside getaway. And
It seems to be like his house now, honestly.
I find this to be so funny because he wakes up from a dream and there's someone in his bed, and then it cuts to him and Alfred and no one else at this villa.
So it's Alfred and him sleeping together.
I was convinced that Alfred was the one in the bed.
Yeah.
Ariel says it was a woman.
It was a woman.
It was a woman.
I think it was Alfred, dolling up a little bit.
It was a woman, but that shows you the good editing of this movie.
That she never mentioned, never addressed.
And this is the weird Martha
seen,
Wayne scene,
just
right?
a shape.
Yeah, the dream he has is he's at his parents' grave and it starts dripping blood, and then a giant bat monster bursts out.
Yeah, and it's like
Yeah,
Bruce
super
or
gross.
whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, we should clarify. Martha being Bruce's mom's name is super important to this plot.
Yeah.
Yes,
So remember,
incredibly.
it's Martha Wayne. They say
Martha.
it 3 times.
Martha is what his dad says when he dies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at this point, Bruce is trying to get info on this dirty bomb that's being shipped into Gotham by Lex Luthor, so he accepts an invitation to go to Luthor's party.
By car, he places this data hack device as Lex Luthor is giving this very unhinged speech about power and Prometheus and stealing.
And then he stops himself.
And he
because
can't
he's
keep
realizing he's
his
rambling.
thoughts straight.
Yeah. Which was a nice nuance of Lex Luthor, that he's so consumed by this idea of I don't think it's power. I think it's more the Prometheus thing, where he wants. It's kind of Lex Luthor's motive, where he's like, I want to give power to the people and not to this guy flying around in the
Prometheus
clouds.
sided with the people over the gods, and he was punished for it.
Yeah. All right. So Batman places, or rather, Bruce Wayne places this data transfer device, while Clark as Clark
He's doing like an expose on it.
doing an expose.
Oh, we forgot to mention this.
The newspaper.
Clark Kent wants to write about Batman, how
Yeah.
he's evil and bad. He's taking justice into his own hands.
Yes.
And
After the branding scene.
And Perry White is like, no, you're doing sports. That's all you do, Clark. You're junior
Yeah.
reporter Clark Kent.
So
Yeah.
one other thing I'd like to say about Ben Affleck here, he gets caught in the server room and he plays it off as the drunken playboy.
Yeah.
He does a good job at switching between serious Bruce and drunken playboy Bruce. And I feel like he does the best job at showing both, since like Kevin Conroy from the cartoon.
I liked the Nolan drunk Playboy Bruce, but I
don't like his Batman that much.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I liked Christian Bale's
yeah.
Bruce Wayne a lot. I liked Michael Keaton's
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne and Batman a lot, but I think Ben Affleck does a really good balance.
He's
Yes,
my
no, I
favorite-
agree, yeah.
Honestly, he's probably my favorite Batman so far.
Aside from Adam West.
Oh yeah.
So he does the data transfer. Then he goes back upstairs, and this is where, if you've seen the trailer, you get the Lex Luthor introduction of Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne.
They're very heavy-handed. Hey, audience, it's Batman, Superman. I hope these guys don't fight. Yuck, yuck, fuck.
This is the first thing
this
that
scene, This scene I love so much more when it's revealed later on that Lex Luthor knows that Clark Kent is Superman.
Yeah. And he also knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Yep.
Yeah, he knew for 2 years.
Which, that makes the scene better, but this was the first of several really heavy-handed, self-aware bullshit lines that this movie has, where at this
mostly given by Lex Luthor.
Yeah.
That's part of the reason I hate him.
No, Perry White gives one that really bothered me.
Perry White, by the way, is a non-entity in this movie.
Yeah. So, he shakes Clark Kent's hand, and he's like, this guy's really strong, and he turns to Bruce Wayne, and he's like, you don't want to fight this guy, which I'm like, okay, whatever, wink to the audience. But
There's
then,
a lot of winks to the audience.
at another point, they say that again, where Perry White goes, nobody wants to see Clark Kent take down Batman, and it's like, ugh. But then the thing that bothered me the most was Clark Kent was like, what Batman's doing is wrong. Like, we need to stand up against him, because we have to show people what's right. Perry White goes, it's not your job to tell people what's right. Maybe if this was 1938, you could tell people what's right. But it's not that world anymore. And that is the most self-aware line that shows that Zack Snyder doesn't understand Superman at all. Because he's saying, oh, when Superman debuted in 1938, having a higher moral compass and trying to strive to be better mattered. Now it doesn't. And superheroes are meaningless. So Zack Snyder could fuck off.
Zack Snyder, by the way, is a big fan of Ayn Rand, so he doesn't like the idea of hero people helping people anyway.
So, like, to me...
I'm surprised it took this long into the episode to get a fuck you, Zack Snyder.
That stood out to me as such a self-aware line that is so definitive Zack Snyder of, I'm ashamed of what this character stands for, so I'm going to make him cool.
Or what I think is cool.
Or what I think is cool. And
Yeah.
that really bothers me as someone who lives his life inspired by Superman trying to be better. That bothers me so much. And this is the first time I think I've been the really mad one on this show. So someone else, tell me what happens in this movie.
Okay, so they have their talky talk.
They bitch about one bitch is about, hey, Batman sucks, and the other guy's like, I don't know, I think Superman's worse, and
Yeah.
go on.
Yeah.
You saw the trailer. By the way, the trailer spoils the fuck out of this fucking movie.
Oh, yeah.
If you
Oh,
saw
yeah.
the trailer, you saw this movie basically.
Pretty much. Alright, so Bruce goes back to get his data transfer device, only to find that it's missing. And this mysterious woman that he's been making eyes at the party.
It's Wonder Woman. If you saw the
is
trailers, it's Wonder Woman.
It is Wonder Woman. She is...
Why keep the mystery up if the trailers and keep the mystery
Yeah.
up?
Yeah. She also does a fantastic job, for the record. Gal
I-
Gadot or
I-
Gal Gadot?
I disagree.
I really liked her.
I couldn't understand what the fuck she was saying. She had a very thick accent.
I didn't think it was that hard to
She was like a Tommy Wiseau of.
No. I had no problem understanding her.
Yeah.
I also was not a huge fan of Henry Cavill. I don't blame him that much, but I'm not a huge fan of this one.
I don't feel very strongly about her either way, to be honest.
I don't think I don't think her amount of screen time deserved the praise it got in reviews where they were like, Wonder Woman's the best part of this movie.
When people say they praise the fact that she was kicking ass.
They praise the fact that she's in this movie, period.
Yeah.
And kicking ass.
Yeah.
She did a good job.
Yeah, I would be very interested in seeing her in a Wonder Woman movie.
I feel the opposite.
Okay.
I feel
Neutral?
neutral. Like, I'll obviously go see the movie, but I'm not... This doesn't make me excited to go see a Wonder Woman movie. It didn't sell me on her character, but then again, this wasn't her movie.
Yeah, so Joe says it's okay, Sly says it's bad, I say it's good.
I say it's good.
Yes, I win.
That's fine. Like, the people who want to see Wonder Woman and you want to see Wonder Woman kick ass, you'll get that in this movie.
So let's fast forward back to the party where Bruce, his information stolen
By Wonder
from
Woman.
some mystery woman,
Who's
aka Wonder Woman.
From some woman full of wonder who
Yeah.
Yes, some
he fails
woman
to keep up
who-
with.
And here's an example of this movie's shitty editing. Superman, while this is happening, looks at a TV showing a crisis somewhere.
Oh yeah.
Okay, it's a factory fire in South America. What news network is on in the kitchen? Oh, I guess...
all the factory workers seem to be from that country. Or,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once, as I was saying that
Yeah.
sentence,
So,
I was like,
in
oh
the
wait, that makes
kitchen-
more sense.
As I was saying
At
that, I
the
realized it was
party.
stupid.
Yeah.
But
No, Joe's right. Joe's
yeah.
right.
but Superman sees this, flies to in the middle of this.
He's trying to
Party.
follow Bruce because he can hear him
Yeah.
talking to Alfred.
But we have this whole setup where it's big infiltration scene, Bruce going all to this. So and then Superman sees this video footage. Then it cuts to a montage of Superman just saving people, flying around
Yeah.
this world. It's the weirdest transition ever. It
Yeah.
cuts from an infiltration scene to a montage of Superman saving people.
Yeah, and then right after that, I'm not sure if there's anything else, but it's a dream that Batman's having.
Yeah, we'll get to that dream in a second, because it is the weirdest part of the whole movie.
Yeah.
But Superman saves all these factory workers, and it's the Day of the Dead in this.
It's not Day of the Dead like John Romero's Day of the Dead, but like the Spanish holiday,
Yeah,
Mexican
so
holiday.
they all have
holiday.
they all have the skull.
It'll be
masks
cool
on.
if Superman fought zombies.
And this is supposed to be this is supposed to be an homage to Man of Steel, I think. In Man of Steel, Superman has a dream hallucination where he gets buried by thousands of skulls. And it's now living people accepting Superman as their hero instead of their, like...
Destroyer.
But the music and the scene is shot so creepy and so weird that, like, that redemption parallel did not resonate emotionally whatsoever.
They also just, like... reach out to touch. It's very him portraying him as like a god, but it's very creepy.
And he kind of just like lets them. So I guess he does want to be everyone's god because he's super letting them like bow to him and worship him.
They do bow, and also during that montage they also show like people in the flood like calling out to him, and he's just flying over them like look at me, I am Superman.
Yeah, Superman appears in the sun as like they paint his logo on the top of their roof, you know?
Yeah.
And he's just floating there staring at them as just begging
There's
for
a
help.
lot of him just like standing there and accepting their praise and not saving anyone right away, which is ridiculous.
And this makes sense even like this is what I mean like when we could find if that's the message, but it seems tone deaf because Superman seems humble in the way when he talks about he wants to save the world. He just wants to help people. But then when they show him, like, praise me, all you humans.
That's what I mean, is they tell us that he's humble, but they don't show us that at all.
But that's what I mean, what movie being tone deaf, because they have that scene where Clark seems humble, but then they have the montage where he seems messianic.
But I think that's bad drawing on Zack Snyder's part, because I think he's purposely trying to make that the thing. That's purposely trying to make Superman like that when he's not.
So yeah, next scene, I forget what happens after the montage.
So there is another scene before the dream sequence where Batman's at a different party with Wonder Woman. I don't remember the context of the
He just comes to her and says, I know who you are.
It's a sword. It's like Wonder Woman is, I think do they call her Diana Prince in this?
They call her Prince.
Yeah. And they're at like an antique thing, and pretty much Bruce Wayne like tracks her down. And she's like...
He's like, give me my shit back.
And
pretty much, and she's like, one thief telling that to another thief, and...
She gives back his shit.
Pretty much, she's like...
She says, I'm not a thief, I just borrowed it.
I just borrowed it, it's in your glove compartment of your car.
Which means
that's kind of cool.
But that makes the whole fucking Wonder Woman thing kind of stupid and pointless.
How so?
Because, like, they just added extra scenes to this 2.5-hour movie of him having to track her down.
Then how is he going to get the data back?
I mean, like, if he just got the data in there... It'll be a lot more efficient than having her track her down just so they tease Wonder Woman later on. When Wonder Woman has
but I like this because it makes Bruce Wayne look competent because he tracks down this mystery woman.
And she also...
Which you can accomplish by him just downloading information.
Well, she also...
From where?
From where he got it from, where she stole it from.
This point actually matters, this scene, because she says, Does
it matter to this movie or to Justice League?
Well, she says...
To this movie.
To this movie. She says Lex Luthor has a picture of mine on his data that I need back.
And
which isn't really how computer files work. But she wants to see what he was using her picture for. We don't know what the picture's about yet. And she can't encrypt the data. It's super military grade.
Yeah.
So she basically says, I got all this data. I can't do anything with it. I'll give it back now.
Yeah.
And then she leaves. And
so what was the point?
It shows that she has an interest in what Lex Luthor is researching, which we will be talking about later.
But that's a fact later on.
Yeah, it does.
Lex Luthor's not what brings her to that fight later on.
Her interest in what Lex Luthor is researching is why she's in this movie.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I did not get that at all. I did not get why she was at the final fight.
She's at the final fight because Bruce Wayne reaches out to her and asks her all those questions.
Yeah,
her having a relationship with Bruce Wayne / Batman is crucial because if she doesn't have this relationship, then she just randomly shows up at the end.
I know, that's why
and that would be terrible.
But I mean, like, you could cut Wonder Woman out of this movie and be more efficient movie.
But at the same time, this movie's supposed to be establishing a cinematic universe.
It should not be doing that.
You could cut Samuel L. Jackson out of the end of Iron Man 1 and it would still be a totally cohesive
I know, but this movie is very convoluted, very...
I agree.
I mean, this movie will have fixed a major problem with its pacing and stuff.
So speaking of...
I think you could cut 3 of the dream sequences,
So-
and the Wonder Woman stuff makes and keep the Wonder Woman stuff. I think
I
I'd
would-
keep the Wonder
I
Woman
would
stuff.
keep the Wonder Woman.
But here's the thing. I
As
wouldn't-
much, and I think the character's meh. I'd keep the Wonder Woman
Here's,
stuff.
here's
in
why
this movie.
I want to cut Wonder Woman, because she has no character in this movie whatsoever, really. She has no arc, she has no nothing, she's just there to tease Justice League. So it's just like...
That's also the point of
That
this
is the
movie.
point.
I know, but that's why I hate it.
But that's fair.
That's fair. That's fine.
Okay, so speaking of totally unnecessary cuttable dream sequences, Bruce Wayne starts to decrypt the data back at the Batcave, and then it smash cuts. You mentioned this before. Do you want to talk about the scene?
So you're
Google-
hearing the sounds of the information being decrypted, and then all of a sudden you're in a desert, and Batman is getting the kryptonite, like, delivered to him, or he's intercepting it. I'm not really sure.
Also, Batman's in a super sweet coat, and I think this costume's awesome.
With the
Yeah,
gun.
he had a very kick-ass costume.
Yeah.
And a military.
In the middle of the desert, like, he's not hot in that outfit whatsoever.
Well,
It looks cool. It is not practical at all, but I think it looks awesome.
and whoever he's working with, like, as soon as he opens the box, and it's just a green light bulb, and everyone turns on him, and it's
It's a
these
trap.
weird troops that have Superman emblems on their shoulders.
Like Nazi.
And that's when you're like,
bracelets.
what's
Forgot about
going
that.
on? And that's when I was like, okay, I guess this is another dream.
So yeah,
and-
there's these Superman soldiers, and do you remember who else shows up to this fight?
Like these bat troops.
These like Birdman
bird
harpies.
bug things.
If you're familiar with DC, they're like soldiers from Apocalypse, those wing things.
Oh, are
Okay,
they?
well,
They're
I wasn't.
parademons.
So
Parademons,
they
yeah.
just
They're
look like
it's a tease
some type
for
of
Justice
wing.
League.
Well, first off,
demons, but I have
Superman
no
looks
idea who
off
they were.
in the Batman looks off in the distance, and there's a giant Omega symbol. There's a giant Omega symbol, and there's pillars of fire coming from the Earth.
Well,
Do you get it now?
I get it now.
Wow, really?
Yeah,
Mr. I love Jack Kirby's Fourth World.
Joe is looking at Ryan right now like, you fucking idiot, you piece
I am
of
looking
shit.
at him. I am looking at him like that because all I hear is how great, Final Crisis is and how awesome Jack Kirby's Fourth World is, and he misses the giant dream sequence that is just that.
Because
For him, it was made for you,
It
Ryan.
is just Jack Kirby's
Okay,
Fourth World.
One thing I want to say about this movie, I have never been so bored in a superhero movie before. I really did zone out a couple times. This is one of the times.
Fuck you, Ryan.
Why?
Because
Oh, did
I
it matter?
watched this.
Did it matter, Joe?
Yes.
Did that scene matter?
Yes, it does.
Why?
No, it doesn't.
It
Oh,
absolutely
when
matters.
does
not matter?
Darkseid show up, Joe? When do they reference any other Fourth World stuff? Why does this matter?
Because he's their Thanos, and this is what they're building to.
But in the movie, does it matter?
It matters for the part that comes next.
It's technically,
This is a dream
it
sequence.
technically matters because
Scene
it
of the
sets
dream.
off Batman to kill Superman more.
I guess.
Yeah, it adds to the paranoia.
So he has this dream that Superman's gonna be like a Nazi god in the future.
Yeah, but all the paratroopers work for Superman. Superman captures him. It's a scene you see in the trailer where he rips off his mask when Batman's tied up.
yeah, with
And
the
he
guns.
he incinerates two dudes with his
Yeah.
heat vision.
And I think this is a teaser for the next film. I think they're going to want to do an adaptation of Injustice, where Superman's a villain
That's-
and a dictator.
so
which makes me want to say fuck this movie and
I,
fuck this.
I don't think this will ever come to pass.
I don't
with
think
Sly.
they're gonna do
I'm
that.
not with Sly.
So basically, Superman says like, "You let her die. She was my world," which is what Injustice, the video game, is based on. The catalyst of that
Yeah.
plot is Lois Lane dies and Superman goes crazy. So he's established as like this evil dictator guy.
in this dream.
Yeah. Does anything else happen in the dream, Ariel?
well, you should talk about the next scene in the dream.
Oh, it's like a dream within a dream.
It's a dream
Yeah.
within a dream. It's Inception.
It's a dream.
So then he
within a
like
dream.
wakes up from the dream and he's in the Batcave, and a portal opens up,
And the Flash is in there.
and I guess it's the Flash. You didn't believe me that it was the Flash.
No, because it looked so weird.
He has a weird.
I
He's an
also-
unrecognizable character.
He has
It
weird
was.
armor on.
It was absolutely. I'm with Ariel. It was completely unrecognizable.
Yeah. The only reason why I knew it was the Flash was because he's coming from the future to warn of a terrible thing that's about to happen, and that's like a thing the Flash does a lot.
Yeah.
But there is nothing in the movie that implies the Flash. We haven't heard mention of the Flash. We haven't seen any indication that he's in this movie
Or exists.
or exists.
Except
Not
right
yet.
after he sees
Right
him
after.
and
Yeah.
opens the file.
But don't you think he should open that file first?
You also
Yeah.
you also barely see his face when his armor.
Yeah, he has this
his
weird-
unflash looking armor.
Yeah.
comes off.
And
That-
he's basically
Yeah.
giving this cryptic message about how, like, you have to stop him.
You were right about him. Kill him.
Yeah, you were right about him. She's the key. You have to save her. And
it's Lois is the key.
Yeah.
Lois is the key, and he also says I came back too early.
yeah, And this is pretty... He talks for, like, too long.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like this was going on for way too long for me to still have no idea what was happening.
And then he actually wakes up.
And then he actually wakes up, and the file's decrypted.
We should clarify. Like Ryan says, Flash has time travel powers. He does not have time travel dream powers.
Yeah.
So even if you know the Flash, this does not make sense with the Flash.
Yeah.
So good job, Zack Snyder. You completely, 100% fucked this scene up in every conceivable fucking way. That is an accomplishment. You get the award for fucking up homage, teaser, whatever you want to call it.
And, like, okay, I'm the biggest Flash fan. He runs so fast right into my heart. The Flash being introduced into the DC Cinematic Universe should be a huge deal.
It should make Ryan say, yes, not what?
And it made me go, what's going on? Who is this? Is that the Flash? What movie is this? Can we go home yet?
Good job, Zack Snyder.
Yeah, good job, Zack Snyder.
You made Ryan miss the fourth world, Zack Snyder.
Yeah,
Good job.
You're just not.
I still can't believe you didn't get that. I'm in disbelief that Ryan did not get...
Well, that shows how much this movie fails, because Ryan is a target audience for that dream sequence.
Yeah.
That was made for him.
Ryan is also the biggest DC... He is the biggest DC fan out of all of us.
Definitely.
And he misses...
Every homage in that thing.
I mean, in the last episode...
We're both just like, what's going on? And that's why we missed that, because we were looking at each other like, what? What?
In the last episode, I defended the additions that John Byrne made to the Fourth World canon. I love the Fourth World so much that Superman making a porno had interesting things to add to the mythos, and I missed this in giant flaming letters. Greek letters, but letters nonetheless.
Giant Omega symbol. I'm like, oh my god.
It's just because as soon as I saw, like, oh, this is another dream sequence, my brain was
checked out?
Yeah, you don't have to pay attention to this.
Yeah.
This doesn't matter. This is just like the giant weird man bat that came out of your mom's grave.
That's a good point. Like, the other dream sequences don't mean anything to the other...
Yeah, so all these dream sequences... Batman literally tells us after the first dream sequence, that was a lie. You don't have to listen to this. So as soon as they introduce a dream sequence, I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter. I know Zack Snyder's not going to do any fucking character development, so why do I have to pay attention? This is when I'll go pee. I didn't pee, I watched the whole movie. But, whatever.
This is where Ryan fails as a critic, whereas I watch this movie as diligently as possible. He checks out, alright, and misses things.
In my defense... You're better at paying attention than me to all things. You remember when we did Trouble and I couldn't tell who any of the characters were?
Oh my god, you're right.
Joe's a master of discerning characters and plot lines.
That's my role. I'm like,
What's going on? Who am I? Where's my pants?
Yeah. So, okay, what happens next?
I don't remember.
He wakes up from the dream, and the files are decrypted, and Batman is like, I'm gonna go look at these files.
But they save that for later.
Do they save it for later?
They do save it for later.
They hint at it that there's 4 metahuman files.
Yes.
And Lex Luthor gave them all a logo to be nice. He gave Flash a logo, gave Cyborg a logo, because that's how he wants to give everyone.
So he doesn't open
logos.
any of the folders yet, except for Wonder Woman. But there's a Wonder Woman folder, a Cyborg folder, a Flash folder, and an Aquaman folder.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't be able to tell from
just the
scene.
You could guess probably two of them.
Because the logos that Lex Luthor very graciously gave them.
Especially because we just saw the Flash.
Yeah.
I didn't see a lightning bolt on his costume. But so he opens the Wonder Woman folder.
Yeah.
And he finds some footage of her being like super strong.
No, it's just her.
It's just her going around.
No, there was a couple other videos first.
Yeah, no, there were, but like, were there her being super strong?
I don't know, probably not.
No, it's just her looking awesome.
She uses an ATM, I think.
Yeah.
That's super strong, like fiscally.
It was mostly just her being alive during World War II and wearing a Wonder Woman costume during World War II.
Actually,
that's the reveal.
War I.
It's World War I.
There's a picture
it's
of her
1918.
in 1918.
Yeah, World War I.
Yeah.
In her costume.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't extrapolate these very brief teaser moments.
That's the thing.
Yeah,
God, the
it's
two
only
of you.
for a second.
What the fuck?
I don't give a shit about these teasers, Joe.
Oh my god.
I came with this movie not expecting to give a shit about this universe, and I left it not giving a shit about this universe.
Yeah.
At least I fucking tried.
I went. I paid my money.
We gave the money, Joe. We fucking paid our blood money for this fucking trash. Can we get to the next scene, please?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, Ariel, what happens next?
Batman's dreaming. Lois Lane is trying to figure out where the bullet came from when she was...
Okay, she has her writing diary, and she finds a bullet in her writing diary. But it's not just any bullet. It's like a very, future militaristic bullet.
So she's looking for answers.
From who?
From...
The military guy from the first movie.
The
I was
military
asking
guy.
Ariel. Sly. She has the notebook.
I don't know, some super secret man that should have all the answers.
That's true. She has not seen Man of Steel. She does not know who this guy is.
Yeah, I don't know who it is.
Who was he? He was just like a
general. He was a general.
Oh, he was a general?
He had more of a character than Perry White
Yeah.
and Jenny Olsen. Almost every single person there.
Yeah,
He forgot about Jenny Olsen.
Yeah, he's the guy who he brings the satellite down to at the end of Man of Steel. And it's like,
Yes.
you can trust me. He's that guy.
You can trust me. I just destroyed a city.
I just showed you
To
satellite.
be fair, there was someone else destroying that city too.
Okay,
There's
So
a
she
do-over.
tries to get answers, and he's like, it's obviously confidential, can't tell you anything.
Yeah.
And then she comes back to him and is like,
but really though,
but really, what can you tell me?
And he's like, okay, I'll tell you. And it turns out that
And then she just gives him the bullet. Here's all my evidence.
yeah, she goes.
She gives like a little like nice speech where he's like, I'm not
Yeah.
just a reporter. Like, I'm also blah blah blah.
But she gives him her only evidence.
Yeah.
That there's some conspiracy here.
Yeah.
Because
that was two scenes because that's one scene because he says like,
Right.
oh, you're trying to save the world, but you're just trying to cleanse your own
I
sins.
think-
Then they cut new
Clear your
scene.
own conscience, right? I like that line. When he was like, you're just trying to clear your own conscience.
Yeah, but like.
Yeah.
She should have just said what she said next scene in that scene,
In that-
and
yeah.
then couldn't make one scene instead of two pointless
Yeah,
scenes.
that's when we talk about editing. It's two scenes of the same characters back to back.
And the conversation, Lois doesn't respond to him. She just leaves. Like, she could have
Also-
just responded to that
Yeah,
what she says
he
later on.
doesn't say-
Also, at this
just
point, they name
leaves.
drop Carol Ferris, who's a Green Lantern character.
Who gives a
For
shit?
the record,
Only
not
Ryan.
me.
Only Ryan.
Let the record show.
Just let the record
Good.
show.
I did not catch that. Good job.
Yeah, they
Ryan.
say Major Ferris is right outside the door. Where were you? At least I tried.
Oh, I'm sorry, Major Ferris.
Don't make.
Screw you, Major. That's not her name. Her name is not Major Ferris.
She could be a major.
Who gives a shit? Let's move on.
So, I don't remember what came next.
Okay, so then it cuts to the dirty bomb is arriving in Gotham.
Yes.
And this is when Alfred goes, it's not really a dirty bomb, is it? And it's revealed that the thing that's actually being imported is the kryptonite.
Yeah, illegally
And-
because
illegally.
Mrs. We cut the Mrs. Senator.
Oh,
We have to
Yeah.
explain this because it's the best scene in the movie. I will give J.C. Eisenberg this much credit. She goes to him and says, "Don't give me piss and Sage Granny's iced tea or whatever."
Yeah.
And I know you're trying to make a weapon to kill Superman, basically.
Yeah, like I know you're not trying to do this for the good of America. You're trying to make a weapon because you want to kill Superman. So don't piss in a bucket and call it Granny's peach iced tea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
The
Granny's
best, this is
peach
the best
tea.
part of the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's importing it illegally anyway.
Yeah.
So now Batman goes to to steal the rock.
Yeah.
So okay, maybe you guys can clarify this.
We have to go through this scene first.
So Batman shows up in his Batmobile, and
well, first he puts the tracking device on the
Yeah.
LexCorp.
so he like is chasing them in the Batmobile.
Well, yeah, the Batmobile has a Gatling gun on it, and he just
Missiles.
opens fire on it on these guys.
But Batman definitely kills a lot of these dudes.
Yeah.
And now, Batman is trying to stop a dangerous weapon from being illegally imported into the United States of America. Superman shows up and stops him.
Yeah,
Why?
because he's a dick.
Because we looked at the collateral damage. Batman, he stops Batman's murder trail.
But these guys are clearly criminals.
Are they criminals, or are they guys just taking stuff off of a dock?
They all also have guns.
Yeah, they're shooting
do.
at
And are
Batman.
shooting
They have-
into the streets.
they're having a gunfight with Batman
Yeah.
in the streets.
The thing is, if Superman has such
That
super
is fair,
hearing
yeah.
that he can hear all this stuff, he should know that these guys are also bad.
Yeah.
And he stops Batman and just leaves. He does not stop the bad guys at
Yeah,
all.
he just stops Batman and says the bat is dead.
Who's
Let it
murdered?
die.
Who's murdered like half of this?
Yeah,
like,
but
all
these guys are
people?
also murderers.
Yeah, they're also
I'm not
murderers.
saying he shouldn't stop Batman. I'm saying he should stop everybody.
He stopped the murderer that's stopping murderers, at least.
Yeah. He should also stop the other dudes.
Yeah. He should stop the murderers that are just murdering people, not just the murderer that's murdering people. Murdering murderers.
To be fair, the people have only shot their guns at Batman, who has attacked them.
They have Gatling guns. You don't have Gatling guns on the truck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
No, I agree.
You're not standing your ground with a fucking Gatling gun.
Yeah. You're not matching gun for gun with a Batmobile just by being a casual fucking dock worker.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, Batman kills everyone except the two dudes who have the kryptonite. They
Yeah.
get away.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he doesn't just like kill. Like he blows up their car.
Yeah.
He flips over a car. This is my big thing. He flips over a car. and
Onto
then-
another car.
Onto a car, and then he launches his tow cable at the car. And at this point, this is before Batman has like killed anyone yet. So I'm like, wow, those guys who are in the field car, they're seriously injured. I'm like, and then he fires their Gatling, like this tow cable at the car, and starts dragging their car with him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, they're definitely dead
Yeah.
now.
They don't even pretend.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
almost Deadpool levels of violence.
Yeah, it's
This reminds me of-
bad. It's bad, and it really took me back. That like, because I didn't know that Batman killed people in this movie until I saw that.
Like, okay, people say, like, the Michael Keaton Batman kills a lot of people. He kills a couple people. This Batman kills a lot of people.
Michael Keaton, like, here's the thing. Michael Keaton also, like, Tim Burton came out and said he never read a Batman comic before making that movie. Which would explain why he doesn't know that the Batman doesn't kill people. Yeah. Zack Snyder should know better. Yeah. Not only should Zack Snyder know better, the people who made this movie should have been like, stop, Batman doesn't kill people.
The people who made this movie should have been like, stop.
Stop.
That's it. Just stop. You've done enough.
Also, even if you can't even use Dark Knight Returns as an excuse, because in that story, one of the pivotal scenes is Batman refuses to kill the Joker.
Yeah.
He refuses to kill him. Like, he says, like, I have to kill him. Like, if all this is done, I have to kill him now down all these more darker, edgier Batman.
When we look at the Dark Knight Returns as the idealistic version of what this movie's trying to be, that's really fucked. Because I like the Dark Knight Returns quite a lot, but it is supposed to be the darkest Batman story.
Yeah. I think this was the first point of the movie where I was like, wait, like, I thought it was okay up until this point. At the very least, it was telling a story, and the story, while it was jagged, at least it was moving forward. I could see what they were building to. This was the first time where it took me out of the movie. Yeah. And I'm like, wait, hold on.
And to clinch,
why is Batman killing people?
And to clinch it all, Superman stops Batman. He rips him out of the Batmobile, and Batman goes, "Do you bleed?"
We get the very famous, "Do you bleed?"
And then Superman flies away, and to nobody, Batman goes, "You will." And I'd like to think that he's saying it like, you're gonna, if you don't stop what you're doing.
You will.
Yeah.
So what happens next?
What does happen next? I have no idea.
Oh, Superman flies away to his mom.
Oh yeah, he meets his mom, and mom says...
This is... I will touch upon this because during this scene,
his mom's name is Martha Kent, by the way.
Yeah.
Martha Kent.
Yeah.
Martha Wayne. Martha Kent. This is not a coincidence I'm bringing this up.
This isn't Zack Snyder's idea. They've always had the same
I know, but he makes this a plot point.
Oh, I know. It's ridiculous.
Okay. So, I will bring this up as the only times I ever felt hope in this movie were during the Superman scenes like this.
Yeah. I don't know, because she's like, you don't owe them anything.
But he chooses to... I think before this, but he chooses to do it anyways.
Yeah.
This is the part I talk about, the parts I like of this movie, and the parts I liked were Superman, and that this is Superman trying to be Superman in a world that doesn't want him.
Oh, we totally skipped a major character.
Which character?
So the guy that we mentioned, because this is going to lead into this scene.
This is. Oh, we skipped Cripple.
The guy who was crippled by Superman during Man of Steel. He's in a wheelchair now. He had his legs amputated, so he ends at the knee. He goes to the memorial where everyone who died during Man of Steel is written on a wall, like the Vietnam Memorial in D.C., and there's a giant statue of Superman. And he, even without legs, climbs to the top of the Superman statue and spray paints False God on the statue and gets arrested for it.
Idol.
Whatever it is. And... like, this and the desert is what kickstarts the people not trusting Superman as much. He gets bailed out by Lex Luthor, who gives him a new wheelchair.
In exchange for his testimony.
And now he becomes the public face of the anti-Superman movement.
Yeah.
Like Susan Everywoman from Civil War.
Yes.
And he worked for Bruce Wayne.
And he was a Bruce Wayne employee, So, at this point, Superman goes home to talk to his mom because...
he's being called to a Senate hearing.
They have requested him to come to the next hearing about Superman. And he's debating if he should go. His mom says no. He says, I have to stand up for something more than this. I'm going to go.
Yeah.
So next scene.
Bruce Wayne sees the like news footage of the Superman hearing, and he sees that the main testimony guy was his former employee because he remembers rescuing him.
Yeah.
And he's like, haven't we been, giving him...
Checks.
Like what?
I think he
what
calls
happened
it like the
here?
Injury Fund or something.
Yeah. And
the classic Wayne Foundation fund from the 1960s Batman movie.
Yeah.
And that's when we find out that he was sending the checks back with messages saying like,
"You let them die."
You really like this part. Who tells him that?
Greg. He says he sees the footage of Superman and he said what's it called?
At the hearing?
The hearing.
So he sees the guy that he saved and he goes, Greg, get up here! And we're like, who's Greg? And then essentially the mail person comes in and gives him the mail.
Ariel and Ryan are waiting for a reference to Greg, a character named Greg from the DC universe.
Yeah, it's I don't know a single DC character.
I was thinking desperately of a Greg character I could make a joke with, but I couldn't.
I don't know. So he finds out that the checks that he got, he hasn't been cashing any of the injury checks, and they have these like threatening red letters on them.
You let them die.
You let your family die. Keep
Yeah.
your money. You know.
You let your family die was the last one.
Yeah. So then it cuts to Lex Luthor is now in the Kryptonian ship. There are smash cuts that go like the most severe scene changes.
Yeah. So Lex Luthor gets in the ship. He gets access by cutting off Zod's fingertips with a kryptonite.
Peeling it off with kryptonite.
Yeah.
He uses the little bit of kryptonite he has to peel off his fingertips and put them on his fingertips.
And like the
Lovely.
Kryptonian ship is like, oh, you have fingerprints, you must be Zod. Come
Yeah.
on in. And
Even though he knows it's not Zod, which
Yeah.
is
it's such a,
Well, basically,
the
I think-
Kryptonite ship is such a plot device.
Oh god,
It's the most plot device, essentially plot
It's
devices.
the most plot device I've seen since Man of Steel had this kryptonite ship that was a big plot device.
But like, like Joe says, it recognizes Lex Luthor, but it lets him in because it has Zod's fingerprints. And then
Yeah.
Lex Luthor wants to make a monster with this, basically.
Yeah, he basically
well. I think at this point he just accesses like the records.
For now, but like,
he
For
learns
now.
a lot about
Yeah.
kryptonite.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's like, tell me
Krypton.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So before the hearing, Lex Luthor goes up to Finch. They have a conversation. Lex Luthor like doesn't go into the hearing. Superman shows up at the hearing, and goes in. And Finch is about to begin the hearing, and she notices that there is a mason jar
a jar of Granny's peach tea.
Yeah,
with a mysterious yellow liquid inside.
and Lex's seat is empty,
Yeah.
and I think this is one of the coolest scenes of the whole movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a scene that I was like, that's a really cool callback to an actual good line of dialogue you had
Yeah.
in the script. That's just and it's thematically saying, I don't need your approval. I have the weapon already.
Yeah.
So, and then the wheelchair explodes
Yeah.
and kills everyone in the committee hearing.
And Superman's just standing there like it as the Capitol building burns.
Which is actually a scene I thought was effective.
I thought it was a very good scene.
He looks, and Cavill
He-
nails the
yeah.
scene. He looks like so like traumatized by it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like basically he's in the room and it explodes, and to him basically nothing happened because he's Superman. Everyone around him is dead.
Yeah.
I do wish they gave Cavill a single line in this entire scene because he says nothing this entire time.
See, I like that he
I
says
like that he
nothing.
says,
I wish
what's there to say?
But not the death scene, but the
Shit.
committee scene. I wish he got to make a speech or something to the committee before this happened.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you wanted him to say something about how he represents something bigger, and then everybody does.
Yes.
I think he
That's fair.
couldn't,
Oh,
because
yeah.
remember, like, he's also trying to make, even though, like, they immediately come out as, like, as a wheelchair guy, they're trying to make Superman look bad.
I do, but I agree. I understand why. But just as a way to display Cavill's acting chops, he's never really had a scene where he gets to show the inspiring speech that Christopher Reeves gets to do, or anything like that.
That's
He
very
never had
fair.
a chance. Any of
That's
those-
been a good spot for it, but I do like Finch tries to get something out at the end where she changes her stance
Yeah.
almost. And it's her almost seeing, like, she sees the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
And she
Or
kinda,
on the jar of piss.
or on the jar of piss, and she tries to, like, say something about people coming together.
And I love how
believing,
it gets cut off.
And then she just blows up.
But I do wish that speech could have been given to Superman.
Yeah.
I do think that that's very fair. But I kind of like how
I like that he says nothing.
Yeah.
I like that he walks into this trap.
I do like that afterwards because that scene is just him crying, like basically not him crying, but like standing emotionally over these dead bodies.
Yeah.
But
And I also felt like this is when I was like, oh, Lex is a real fucking villain now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that this was... Because I didn't expect... Given his zaniness and his manipulativeness, I didn't expect something so intense and brutal. And this really caught me off guard. And I thought it... Like, especially the way she turned the jar to read
Yeah.
it. It was so slow.
Yeah.
And then it's so quick. And I
Yeah.
thought that was really cool. This is, in my opinion, probably the narratively and structurally best scene of the movie. And it quickly gets weird after this.
they have one more scene, and this is also the last time they ever mentioned the committee hearings, or really that.
Oh, this plotline gets super dropped.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's gone now.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, everyone's dead.
Yeah, that's very true.
But yeah, so what's the next scene?
I think it's just a montage of Batman getting ripped, right?
Batman was working out and he read the metahuman files.
Here we go.
That's when he read them. And I guess he's preparing for whatever he plans on doing. because he's talking to Alfred, and
He
he's
steals.
like,
At this point, does he steal the kryptonite from LexCorp?
Yeah,
Off screen.
off screen.
After
Off
all that
screen.
build up to him stealing it.
yeah.
Yeah.
But okay, Lex has the kryptonite stolen, and there's a batarang there. But then later on, he implies that he gave it to him, but he didn't.
He implies that he was like doing third dimensional chess where he planned this all out. Everything that happens in the movie. That's how you write good villains.
Yeah.
So then it cuts to Bruce in this like armor,
Yeah.
and he's in like a super suit, like a really fat looking Iron Man suit almost.
It's
Yeah.
if you read Dark Knight Returns, it's that armor. It's basically that
Yeah.
armor.
Yeah, and
Which looks better on Dark Knight Returns Superman because Dark Knight Returns Superman is a lot bulkier.
yeah,
I actually like his
I didn't
costume.
think it looked bad.
I actually,
No, it didn't look bad at all.
I actually
but,
love
like,
the
it
look of
makes,
Batman's movie in general. I thought the Batman movie looked awesome.
Yeah.
But basically, Batman now has a kryptonite spear
Yeah.
and a bunch of like gadgets and stuff in this big suit, and
Kryptonite powder.
Yeah, the kryptonite spear is supposed to be like this really rare sample of kryptonite. Like, there's not a lot of kryptonite.
Yeah.
He has this spear that's supposed to be his like ace in the hole weapon, and he smashes it into the ground and like sticks it through concrete.
Yeah.
So like, I feel like that's risky.
It's kryptonite.
I guess. And then he
It's an
turns.
asteroid. Like asteroids don't break on
Yeah.
concrete.
And then he turns on the bat signal. And
He's like, "Come and get me, Superman."
yeah, basically saying, "Come and get me, Superman."
Because Superman said, "If you turn on the bat signal, I'm coming for you." Basically.
And he doesn't. There are a bunch of scenes before he's seen again. I'd like to think that he does this dramatic thing where he turns on the bat signal and just stands there for like 45 minutes.
And just
waiting-
In the rain.
And just
Yeah.
waits in the rain, brooding. Because it's ridiculous how long he's there for
Yeah.
before he's shown again on screen.
Also,
'cause-
especially because of the editing of this movie, which we'll get into.
Yeah. All right. So here's what happens. Lex Luthor kidnaps Martha Kent. He kidnaps Lois Lane.
Lois gets kidnapped a lot.
Yeah.
So Lois gets kidnapped. Martha gets kidnapped. Then we have the confrontation between Superman and Lex Luthor, and Superman's like, "Give me one reason I won't snap your
So
neck,"
wait,
or something like that.
why does Superman confront Lex Luthor?
I forget.
Because he gives Lois Lane a speech, another one of his crazy manic speeches, and he says, "I believe in the simplest solution. What's the quickest way to get to Superman? Through Lois Lane," and he pushes her off a skyscraper.
Oh yeah, and then she comes in and saves her.
Lois
Yeah.
Lane also realizes at a certain point that she's like, "Why? How did they know Superman was going to be in the desert?" And she realized that they're targeting Superman through her.
And she realizes at this point,
The conspiracy.
Lex's whole conspiracy comes into full light.
The conspiracy
Yeah.
was they set up the Africa stuff was set up so basically Superman would fuck up the village while Superman was there, so it looked like Superman did it basically.
He wanted to kickstart the anti-Superman movement.
Yeah, so Superman comes to Lex Luthor. He's like, "Give me one reason why I won't just snap your neck right here." Basically, Superman is very Superman in the scene, and
Because of the fan outcry, Superman. Don't you remember Man of Steel?
what happened next? Oh yeah, and Lex is like, "I have pictures of Martha," and Martha looks fucked up in these photos. Like she looks like
Yeah, he's obviously
Yeah.
been torturing Superman.
it's like a scene. It looks like something I saw, like the photos.
Yeah.
And
Lex Luthor looks right at the camera and he goes, "Superman, you want to play a game?"
And so Superman's like, I gotta help Martha, and he's like, "You gotta help Martha by killing Batman. Give me Batman's head."
Lex Luthor is like, "I will not burn Martha alive if you bring me the head of Batman."
Yeah, so he basically says either let Batman, if you fly away, Martha dies. If you kill me, Martha dies. So basically his only options are die from Batman's hand or
Kill Batman.
kill Batman.
And Superman has very little reservation by killing Batman. He just goes to Lois saying, "I'm gonna have to kill Batman," and he flies away.
But he does try to talk to him.
It's
a
I have to
lot.
go to Gotham. I don't think she says I have to kill Batman.
No, he says, "I might have to kill the Batman." He's not like, "I can't do it." There's no. I feel like any other Superman would be like, "I can't do it. It's just too much to me to kill this guy." But there's very little doubt in this Superman's mind.
Well,
he's
I
like,
think there's a lot of doubt because he goes and tries to talk to Superman
for like 2 seconds.
Well, no,
for like
I-
2 fucking seconds.
No,
for
I'm on
more.
Joe's side here. That I feel that he says to Lois, I have to get I have to get Batman to work with me.
Or else I have to kill him.
And she says, what if he doesn't? He goes, I might have to kill him. But then he tries to talk to Superman. I mean, he tries to talk to Batman a bunch of times, and Batman is
Not having
really
it.
not
Yeah.
having it.
So cut here, because the story awkwardly cuts here. The movie literally interrupts the setup to the big fight you're all waiting for. Batman's sitting in the rain. The storm's coming. Bombastic Hans Zimmer music is playing. It is the setup for Act 2 fight.
That's the
movie
name
just
of the movie.
Yeah.
Batman v Superman.
Yeah.
For the Dawn of Justice.
And the movie cuts to Wonder Woman, and Batman sends her the files. And the files are literally trailers for the different Justice League movies. They're literally the movie stops in the middle of its Act 2 fight for fucking trailers. That's how they tease the fucking Justice League movies with fucking trailers. It is literally fucking trailers.
So we see footage of a guy in a convenience store that's getting robbed, and he runs really fast. He's obviously the Flash. Yeah. We see Aquaman is like fighting scuba guys, kind of.
It's basically the opening scene from Titanic, where they're going inside Titanic, except the Aquaman just comes in and smacks the.
It's the opening scene. It's the opening scene of Titanic, but Khal Drogo is there from Game of Thrones.
Yes. Yeah, and Cyborg was the weirdest one. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, that was messed up.
Like they have his body laid out,
his torso,
a bit of his body,
and then they have this weird CGI box
thing.
Yeah,
the companion cube from Porto comes in and just transforms into Cyborg.
Yeah, I really didn't know what was going on there.
They don't explain it like at all.
Not only are the trailers are bad trailers, and this is what they were hyping. They were hyping like we're gonna have teasers for Justice League's movie, and this is what they came up with.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
now, meanwhile, back at the ranch.
That's the actual plot. Superman goes to Batman, but he just comes to Batman's face angry, says, "Batman, listen to me!" and then pushes fucking Batman after Batman's like, "I won't listen to you."
Batman was trying to kill him 3 different times while Clark's trying to talk to him.
Yeah, he shoots
with
him
kryptonite.
with guns. I don't think he hits him with the kryptonite yet.
Not yet.
He hits him once before he shoves him.
Not yet. He shoves him first.
Okay.
Okay, so clarify to make it fair for everyone. Superman comes to him and says, "Batman, you have to listen to me." Batman's like, "I don't want to listen to you," and he basically walks up to Batman. First he sets up the guns to shoot him and a bunch of different traps.
And they are not affecting him.
And that's the thing. Superman's not affected by his traps. He can kill Batman if he wants to. Him pushing Batman is inexcusable to me. Batman basically poking him, and Superman pushing Batman while he's trying to get him to help him is inexcusable to me. Superman should not have done that. That's so fucking stupid.
If you say he could kill him easily, and he just pushes him and doesn't kill him,
he fucking sent him flying into the wall. He could have killed him.
Good, because Batman's being an asshole.
Batman's being a real piece
So
of
he's being
shit.
an asshole, so he's not murdering him.
He doesn't kill him.
He wants to murder after he stops talking about saving Martha after that. That's the last thing he mentions after the push.
Because clearly he sees like he's not giving up. Like the whole
Now
time.
murder's on the table. Murder's on the table now.
Not yet. Not yet.
For the record, he has killed a bunch of people before.
Yes, so he's a dead.
It's not on the table yet, because once he pushes, because then they start physically fighting, and Superman's like, whatchamacallit, Superman's like, I could kill you anytime I want, and then he gets hit with the kryptonite gas. And then it's no longer a fight to convince Batman to save Martha Kent. He's now fighting for his life.
There's that moment where he goes to punch him, and Batman catches the blow.
Yeah.
Because he's been hit with the kryptonite gas grenade.
Yeah.
And
he's no longer fighting to convince Batman to help Martha. He's now fighting for his life.
You could still say, "Hey, Lex Luthor, hey, wait," and that's what he does later on. He does it fucking later on, so there's no excuse you couldn't do the entire fucking fight.
I think he could have done a better job at explaining.
No, he definitely could have.
Yeah.
He does it later on as he's losing. He does it later on, so he literally could have. You can't fucking argue this. The movie fucking says it. So fuck you, Ryan. I am right.
For the record, he also never mentions Lex Luthor. He just says save Martha.
Later on, he could have said a lot of things.
But counterpoint. If he explained it, then they wouldn't have fought, and they would have had to come up with a new title for the movie.
I know, that's why here's my problem. I didn't want to see this movie. I didn't want to see this fight. That's my problem with it.
Okay, that's fair. It definitely could have been avoided.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
You see, if they brought that up, they'd have to, be the world's finest heroes.
What
and not
a
Batman
horrible
versus Superman.
concept. What a horrible concept.
And not the Dawn of Justice.
So, okay, so at this point, they're fighting because that's what the audience wants to see. Allegedly.
That's what this movie is about. So that's
what this movie's about.
Just like in a when we talked about the Punisher in a
he gets out because plot.
They fight because this plot has to continue.
Yeah, exactly. So they're fighting. They fight a lot. They fight real hard.
Superman, it's a good fight.
It's a pretty cool.
It's
fight.
an entertaining fight.
So at this point, Lois somehow knows where they are and is
because the bat signal.
The bat signal.
She's like, take me there.
Yeah, take me there.
Yeah, she's going to try to stop this fight. They fight a lot, and Batman really gets the upper hand.
Yeah.
And
breaks out his spear.
Brings out his kryptonite spear.
His spear of destiny.
That's what I thought. His spear of destiny, and he has his foot on Superman's neck, and is about to kill him. And what happens, Sly?
He yells, "Martha! They're gonna kill Martha!" And Batman's like, "What'd you say? What'd you say that?"
What is that? He has like a flashback of his mother when he says Martha.
So Zack Snyder feels
his
the need.
His mother's death, obviously.
Zack Snyder feels the need to recap the death scene because we didn't know that's what
It was
happened.
the only beautiful scene.
Yeah, it's like, remember that time I knew how to make a movie? It's the same thing like the Watchmen montage at the beginning. Like, Zack has good opening scenes. And then Batman just keeps yelling, "Why did you say that name?" And Bruce and Clark just keep saying, like, "Martha, Martha."
Save Martha.
If Lois didn't show up in that scene, they probably would have been there for
in that
forever. That'd be
moment.
us to the movie.
And
Yes!
they do this back and forth, like, 4 or 5 times.
Yes.
Like, "Why'd you say that name? Martha! Why'd you say that name? Martha!" Until Lois runs up and is like, "That's his mom!"
He's like, oh, okay.
And
I'm
Batman
your
goes-
best friend now,
Batman
Batman.
goes, "Wait, but my mom's name is Martha!"
And now they're best friends.
And
I
now-
actually,
yeah.
actually first off, I don't. Has anyone ever done that before? Connected both their names are Martha.
They had
I
to.
d-
I don't think so. I think Joe's right.
Maybe
To be
not.
fair, so I thought it was kind of clever, while not subtle at all.
Ridiculous.
I laughed
Yeah.
out loud at this point. This is supposed to be
Yes.
like the emotional crutch of the movie.
This should be Batman realizing that he's been a piece of shit this whole movie.
Yeah. And like some people have read into it and said like, "Oh, he realized that Superman has a mom, so therefore
I
like,
had a mom.
No, but he's saying like yeah, he's saying like, "Oh, he is human. He's not
Yeah.
just an alien invader.
He was raised as a human being.
He was raised as a human being. He has a mother, like all these things." But it is not played that way in the movie. It's just like, "But my mama's name is Martha too."
I watched many reviews of this movie, and almost all of them are like, wait, so they became friends because their moms have the same name? That's literally the only reason. No one else got the subtext, and the movie doesn't lay it out at all.
I've never met anyone who had the same mom's name as my mom, so maybe that's a thing. I don't know.
Would that stop you from murdering them?
Probably not.
So next scene is, I believe, while this is happening, like Super has a big fucking. The kryptonite ship is like shooting electricity everywhere, and Lex Luthor's making a monster because that's what
He had mixed his DNA with Zod's, and the ship said, "No, you can't do that. It's outlawed by the council." And he goes, "Where's the council?" And they're like, "They're dead." So he's like, "Okay, do it then." And the ship's like, "Oh, all right."
Why does Krypton have monster making technology built into their
Well,
ship?
Krypton's whole thing was they had clone stuff.
Yeah.
So he's cloning a Kryptonian, but he's adding in his own DNA.
Would that make him weaker than a Kryptonian?
Apparently not.
Apparently not.
Maybe they just needed another set of DNA.
So apparently, human plus Kryptonian is
Maybe they need some plot device thing to make Doomsday.
I thought it was gonna be Superboy. It was not.
Superboy in the comics to clone Superman and Lex Luthor, by the way.
Yeah. So Batman says, "I'll go save
It's
Martha."
also not a clone. It's Zod's body that he adds the DNA to.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But it doesn't
So
fucking
it's
make any sense.
Zod plus
Yup,
Lex
continue.
equals...
So
There you go.
Yeah.
So now everyone sees shit's going down at the Kryptonian ship. So
This is the weird part for me because Superman's like, I'll go stop Lex, and he turns to Batman, and Batman's like, I'll go save your mom.
Yeah, that I thought was really weird. Like, why is Batman all of a sudden fighting Superman's battle for his
because
mom?
his name's Martha. She's like his
Right?
Like,
I
this
took
is another like plot devicey thing where like Superman should go save his mom, but Batman needs to go have another action sequence, so Batman goes to save.
There's like a teaser for the solo Batman film by Batman.
He also kills a bunch of these dudes. A
Yes.
guy pulls the pin out of a grenade, and Batman hits him with a batarang, so he drops the grenade and everybody blows up. A guy has a flamethrower, and Batman ignites the tank, so he blows up.
That's the hostage situation with Martha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's not just you're saying like like there was no other kind. It's like he kills the guy who's holding Martha Kent hostage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By blowing up his flamethrower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While Martha's like 3 feet away from him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
So yeah, like Joe says, Batman explodes the guy that's holding Martha captive, and then Martha makes a joke saying, "Oh, I know you're Clark's friend. It's the cape." And like
It's the
after being
cape.
tortured, after seeing
Yeah,
all men
like-
die in
Yeah.
front of her, she's making jokes.
She's been tortured, and someone just exploded right next
Yeah,
to her.
the first joke in like an hour into this movie.
Yeah.
Like,
Bruce goes,
yeah.
"I'm a friend of your son's," and she goes, "I figured because of the cape." So Lois takes the kryptonite spear and throws it in like a well.
Yeah.
It's
Just
like,
like a
they're
big
at like
puddle
they're at like a
in the-
pier like location.
So she throws the spear like at the bottom of this like
well,
well
Yeah.
or whatever. It's weird. And then what happens? Lex is giving some speech, right? About
It cuts to Lex, and his line is like, "Late, late," said the White Rabbit, and I was like, he is the Mad Hatter.
yeah. And that's when he unleashes Doomsday, which he names
Yes.
drops just because that's what he's called in the comics.
Yeah.
So, Doomsday is basically a big gray monster. He's like the Hulk, but with bones sticking out of him.
Slimy.
Yeah.
And kind of slimy.
Well, he's initially slimy.
Yeah.
He's slimy becomes Spike later on.
And he's basically just like...
Slime's turning
He's
into
basically like beating the shit out of everybody. And he's doing a real good
He
job.
goes on a rampage across the city. He's beating up Superman.
Yeah, they emphasize that he's unstoppable. Basically, they shoot him, and basically, whenever they break up a part of him, spikes grow instead of it, so he basically regens as a spiky part.
And Superman actually, for the first time, takes him out of the city. And is doing a great thing. He's kicking him into space.
He takes him to the one place where literally no one can get hurt.
Yeah, so like he's actually doing the thing I want Superman to do.
Yeah.
And how does this world respond? They nuke him.
The President of the United States orders a nuclear strike on the two of them.
I actually really like the scene because it's homage to one of the best scenes, the only good Superman scene Frank Miller ever wrote. And it's when Superman in Dark Knight Returns, he takes a nuke and redirects it, and he basically becomes a skeletal form and basically like reaching out to the sun for...
He sacrifices himself.
Yeah, and like this scene is basically an homage to that because the nuke hits him, and you see Superman as a skeleton floating in space. And I think it's actually a cool scene because you see him take a nuke, and that's like the final thing that humans could throw at this thing, and it takes and survives and becomes even stronger. And they're like, wow, we're fucked. Superman can't stop it, this nuke can't stop it, we're just eating shit now.
Especially because Superman was stopping it, and by nuking him, they stopped Superman from kicking him further into space, and Doomsday fell down to Earth, and Superman didn't.
But Superman was with the plan.
Oh no, Superman was...
He sees in the moment what he has to do.
Yeah.
But it's not a choice that Superman makes. Like, he doesn't...
I understand, but I just mean
he doesn't elect to be nuked. He sees the nuke coming, and he's like, I will...
But it's not like a cheap shot from it is a cheap shot for Americans, but like Superman treats it as a necessary sacrifice for himself.
Yeah, no, I think this whole Superman stuff in this scene is done really well.
So Superman's a floating corpse in space. Wonder Woman shows up to save Batman because Batman...
She saw a video, she saw the
while
news.
she was boarding a
So
plane.
we were saying like, oh, we have to explain why Wonder Woman's here, but her reason for showing up is just because she saw the news. Okay, so even their explanation here is fucking arbitrary. So she shows up.
She does really just show up, and even Batman and later Superman are like...
I thought she was with you.
I thought she was with you.
They're like, what's she doing here? Like, what? And so Batman's like, while Superman's dead, kind of. Batman's trying to redirect Doomsday around the city to the bandit piers.
Oh, this was the dumbest move, I thought, where...
Yes, this is really dumb.
Batman, pretty much, Doomsday lands on this abandoned island, which they go out of the way to mention is like this deserted island. Batman tries to like shoot him with the Batplane, and he's like, "This isn't working. I need the kryptonite spear," and then leads Doomsday to
Back
Gotham.
to the city. Yeah.
So my main problem with Man of Steel is that he doesn't take Zod out of Metropolis.
Yeah.
Batman literally leads Doomsday into Gotham.
Yes,
But
to get his spear.
But it's the bandit piers where the spear is.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
still.
Think of the rest of the damage that they blow up the what looks to be like the oil refinery.
Yeah.
Like all this property damage. Like I can understand Superman not controlling a fight. I cannot understand for the life of me why Batman brings him there.
So at this point, Lois somehow knows they need the spear.
Yeah.
Telepathically.
So
she just threw it in, and this could be the same exact scene because she throws it in, and nothing changes in the scene the next time we see her, and she's like, "I'm gonna go back and get the spear I just threw in,"
and she can't find it. So at this
and
point,
then she starts suffocating.
Yeah.
Well,
then-
she goes in the water to try and get it out, and while that happens, Doomsday arrives and the building collapses on itself.
And then she's in the water, she can't breathe, and then Doomsday gonna blow the shit out of Batman, and Wonder Woman shows up in the nick of time, and there's a scene in the trailer. You see the trailer, you see this fucking scene play out. Superman shows up, and he's like, "I thought she was with you," and then they fight. And how'd you feel about the three of them fighting Doomsday? Just out of curiosity.
I think that this was the coolest scene. I think it looked really cool. It did give off a vibe of like an alt rock video from the early 2000s, like YouTube video, like when people take their favorite anime scenes and put a Linkin Park song over it. But I thought the choreography, the cinematography, everything about the scene looked really cool, and the way they worked the three of them together, I really enjoyed it.
It was a well choreographed fight scene. You definitely got Wonder Woman's ferociousness, like when she slices off Doomsday's arm and you see her smile a bit, which is also a very dark take on Wonder Woman.
She's always been like a warrior.
Yeah, like her taking pride in like slicing off like a thing's arm was a bit new to me.
Misrememberment.
But I recognize that's a take on Wonder Woman that's not
that radical.
Exactly. That's not like Batman killing people.
Yeah.
And I accept that.
What about you, Ariel?
I liked the fight scene a lot.
Good?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Sly hated it probably.
Here's what I didn't like about it. There's no real cohesion between they help each other, but like it's arbitrary. Like they don't yell out orders to each other or anything. Like
they're just all meeting each other
I know,
for
but
the
like they
first
could say
time.
like, "Hey, here's my big problem with it."
Yeah,
Superman
they're
saved.
not a team.
They're not a team, but here's my big problem with it because this whole ending could have been avoided just by talking to each other. Superman saves Lois while she's drowning. He has a spear and he's like, "I gotta take the spear and ram it up."
And the spear is obviously greatly affecting
Yeah,
him.
I gotta go ram the spear up Doomsday's ass, and couldn't he just say, "Hey, Wonder Woman, take the spear, stab that guy. It doesn't kill you like it
Yeah,
kills me."
I was thinking the
That's
same
pretty
thing.
true.
Yeah, like they don't talk to each other during the entire finale at all. They talk to each
That
other.
I will. Wonder Woman has him restrained with the lasso. Batman shoots the kryptonite gas at him. That leaves Superman with the spear.
She has him streamed the lasso after Superman gets the spear.
Yeah.
After the spear.
Like, it would make way more sense for Wonder Woman to have the spear. She's also
Yeah.
way more weapon proficient.
Yeah.
Yep.
And she has like a 15 armor class, so...
Yeah, so D&D reference. Yeah, so man, the spear is killing him as he's using it, and he's flying towards Doomsday as Wonder Woman's restraining him, Batman's distracting him, and he stabs Doomsday, and Doomsday stabs him, and they both die.
Yeah. Now, Doomsday killed Superman in the comics in my favorite Superman story, The Death and Return of Superman.
Mm-hmm.
Spoilers, he dies and comes back. But this is... Like you said, there's so many elements that make his death seem so, like, avoidable.
Yeah.
Where in Death of Superman, they do it so in a way that it is... He tries so many other things, that this is the last resort. And this just feels like, oh, I guess he's dead now. And this is when the little boy behind me said, "What's Superman doing?" And the dad said, "Hush, son." And my heart broke in a million pieces.
Wait, really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. And that sums up this whole movie for me. A sad little boy in an empty movie theater asking his dad what's happened to Superman.
And that's like a sign we understood what death is, son.
Yeah, like, what?
So they have the funeral for him, and Lois is sad. This is actually the most effective scene for the movie for me. I actually teared up seeing the Lois Lane funeral stuff. Like that always gets to me. It got to me in the comics, all the funeral stuff. When even though this is not Superman, really got to know before he died, it still touched me, my Superman loving heart.
So there's actually two separate funerals.
Yeah.
One is a big military funeral for Superman with an empty casket.
Huge.
Huge.
Yeah.
It's a huge
Cast it.
casket. And the other one is in Smallville, being buried next to presumably his dad, I guess. And that one's just Batman, Wonder Woman, and like the Smallville
The kids.
crowd and Lois. And that's
Yeah.
the emotional one.
Yeah.
Where
The one that matters.
the Metropolis one is much more symbolic. And I actually think this is... I agree with Sly. It is done pretty powerfully.
Yeah.
Not as powerful as he said. For me, I was kind of like, okay, I almost get to go home. But, like, this is pretty good.
It was a beautiful moment. I got to go home in like 2 minutes. I
Well,
love
at
the
this
scene.
point, I've been there for so long.
But so yeah, at the funeral, Batman and Wonder Woman are like, "We should form Justice League," and Batman's like, "Yes, I failed him in life. I will not fail him in death." And we will form Justice League and teaser for Justice League.
It's a little bit more nuanced than that.
It's not a bad scene.
Batman's like, we need to find the others.
All the metahumans, as it
The other
comes.
the people in the videos. He's
Because
like,
he says that men are still good.
I understand.
And he's like super hopeful, I guess.
that seeing Superman
Yeah.
die made him so hopeful. But then we get the second worst editing scene of the movie after the trailers. We cut to Batman and Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor is going to prison. He's getting
his head shaved.
Because of
Yeah.
course he is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so to become classic looking Lex Luthor, and Batman shows up, and this whole scene is basically a teaser for Justice League, and it emphasizes this movie's. It basically illustrates the movie what this movie is, because the big climactic showdown between Batman and Superman is interrupted by trailers for Justice League, and the funeral for
I
Superman.
love that you call them trailers.
and final funeral touching scenes of Superman's death are interrupted by what should be the after credits sting for Justice League.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
This scene is pretty much Batman goes to interrogate like Lex Luthor and stuff, or like tell him that he's lost, and Lex Luthor starts like babbling
Like threats at him.
like veiled threats that like our god our god is dead like Superman, but like there are others out there, and
That
it
are coming from the stars. He
Yeah.
just sounds
And
insane.
he does,
Yeah.
and it plays back and cuts to this painting that Lex Luthor says he hangs upside down,
Oh, yeah.
and there's a line that he says that like demons don't come from the ground, they come from the stars, and it pans up to this cracked like painting of a this demon coming from the stars, and the crack paint. What I got for this is it's dark side. The texture of the painting looks like dark side skin.
Yeah.
That definitely makes sense. The thing
Yeah.
that's so weird to me though is like casual fans do not know who Darkseid
Yeah.
is.
They haven't. They don't know anything about
Like
him.
when they revealed Thanos at the end of Avengers, I didn't know who Thanos was at the time because I was just
Yeah.
getting into Marvel. But
You saw who he was though, at least.
yeah, but I saw him and I was like, oh, he's in space. He must be a big space Marvel villain. I got enough from context. This movie has so many Darkseid references that even me, a big Fourth World fan,
Yeah.
didn't catch because I wasn't paying enough attention. Apparently, sorry, Joe.
No, they're not even that many. There's like 3.
But like nobody except someone who really, really, really knows this stuff is gonna catch these references. And I feel like these movies are not for established fans. They're for new fans who want to see like this gritty, new, exciting Superman kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like their target audience is not anybody.
Yeah.
It's people who don't care about the characters but know them so well.
So the final scene, part of the Lex Luthor scene is Lex Luthor says the bells have been rung, ding, and he starts doing a ding, ding, ding sound over and over
Very
again,
creepy.
which is reference to a mother box from the Fourth World Darkseid stuff.
It's how Darkseid and his race of people like
Travel.
Yeah. It's like
Yeah.
teleport.
But which suggests that Lex Luthor is a stooge of Darkseid, which completely fucks up any motivation he had in the movie, where he's against gods ruling over man because he wants Darkseid to rule over man apparently.
Yeah.
So good job, you fucked up. Lex Luthor's motivation in the final scene in the movie.
Yeah. All right, and then the final scene. Well, the final scene in the movie.
The one that Lex Luthor scene interrupted.
Yeah,
Yes.
Is a this is the weird part for me because Bruce Wayne is at the funeral.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to Bruce Wayne at the prison as Batman, and then we come back to the funeral at the same time. Like, it's not like this is a day later. Literally, it's Lois Lane putting the dirt on Superman's grave.
Yeah.
And the dirt
Yeah.
just rises a little.
Yeah.
So I didn't. Okay, I guess this is symbolizing that Superman's not quite dead.
Yeah.
But when does
But
Superman
why?
have the power to raise dirt?
Yeah, I don't understand, like, what is implied by the dirt rising, other than there's something going on in his body.
I guess,
But,
but
like, it's weird.
it's really weird.
My theory is that Darkseid's gonna come and resurrect Superman, and he's gonna be the evil Superman from the future.
Who
visions.
makes a porno?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Exactly.
From the dream.
So
And that ends the dawn of
Would
justice.
you call it a movie?
The dawn of justice. That there was no justice for this movie. Now we've had the dawn of
Yeah,
justice.
so we know that Batman and Wonder Woman are gonna go seek out those metahumans from the trailers.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I guess that's it. This movie's
Yeah.
over. And then we had to look at a bunch of names of people that made a bad movie.
Yeah.
All right. So final thoughts, Ryan.
If you are a superhero fan and want to go see this movie with your friends as just like a bizarre experience, I would recommend seeing it like that. But it is a bad movie. The editing is terrible. The pacing is awful. I was bored half the time, but there were parts that I was like, this is so bizarre that it's worth seeing once. But I would never see it again.
Ariel.
What about you?
I'd say it's bad. I'm not sure. Like, yeah, it's definitely worth seeing in that context of like for fun to see how bad it is. But then, like, at the same time, I was like, I don't want to give these people my money. But like, I definitely wouldn't suggest any kids seeing this as like a superhero movie because again, it's so dark and there doesn't seem to be much hope in it and. That's not
They
what
kill
I want to
Hope.
see.
They kill Superman.
Yeah.
Like they kill Superman. I don't. And that kid was so sad in the theater. I don't want any kid to see this movie.
That's the way I would describe the experience the best. That little kid being like, "Daddy, why is Superman doing this?
Yeah.
Why is he dead?"
But for adults, I guess you could go for entertainment.
Yeah. I think it's pretty bad. It's I honestly prefer in some ways over Man of Steel, but I do think it's more poorly made than Man of Steel.
Man of Steel is much more cohesive.
But there's some elements of like there's some good elements to it, and we point the field now, but they don't come together in a proper way to make a good story. Like Joe says, there are some scenes that suggest that Superman has some hope to him, but there's other scenes that suggest maybe they don't carry out as well.
And any hope Superman has, he dies.
Yeah.
What about you, Joe?
I think I'm the lightest on this movie. As I said in the intro, it is something that you can watch.
We can
But
watch
but
any movie.
it's not. No,
You can
but
literally watch any
but
movie.
you can watch it as like a dark. Here's my issue with this is I recommend this if you want to see it as like a one and done take on these
And
characters in
Elseworlds.
like an Elseworlds story. Promise it's not an Elseworlds story. This
Yeah.
is the bridge to kickstart their whole cinematic universe, and it fails for me because this movie should get me excited for their whole cinematic platform and universe and all the movies that are coming out. And I'm not excited. This isn't
Yeah.
a world I want to spend any time in.
And
Yeah.
and they and they really blew their load with this movie because they have the first appearance of Batman, first appearance of Wonder Woman, Batman vs Superman, Death of Superman, teasing for Justice League,
Yeah.
and it's already probably not gonna make $1 billion worldwide, which is probably disappointing for the studios because this movie costs a lot to make.
Yeah.
So like, and this was their big shot. Like, what else is there to hype after this?
Well, that brings me to my last question that I want to ask you guys. Can the DC Cinematic Universe recover from this? Because it's the financial drop off is huge, the critical, it's doing worse critically than like any other superhero movie. Can they build a universe with this shaky of a foundation? Can they ever hit the point where they have maybe not as concise, but can they hit a Marvel universe style after this?
I think they will never be able to hit a Marvel Universe style, and I think they should stop now. What they should try to do is make good standalone movies that connect naturally, like over time. Like, don't try to connect it over too much. Just make Suicide Squad, make it be about a bunch of Suicide Squad members. Make Green Lantern movie, well, not Green Lantern movie, because they're not gonna fucking do that. Make Wonder Woman, make a good World War Two, World War One period piece. Make Shazam, make all these movies, just make them good standalone movies, and have that naturally form.
To just earn the trust of the audience?
Yes, exactly. What do you think, Joe?
Yes, they can recover from this, but they need hope.
Need Superman
And
back.
they
They, they
just
need
killed it.
they need Superman. That is the weirdest thing for me to say. But the only times I felt hope in this movie were the Superman scenes. Because
Yeah.
really enough, despite being the alien, he was the only human character in this entire movie for
That's a
me.
good point.
And they need Superman
Yeah. I feel like
to
some...
be, and they need
yeah.
Superman to be Superman. And there are things I'm looking forward to this. Like if they do the reshoots for Suicide Squad, I think like that can be a good turnaround point for them. There's a lot of people who, even though I didn't think she was that great, there are people who liked Wonder Woman in this movie. The Rock's gonna be Black Adam. There are things that I can look forward to. I can and want to look forward to in the DC Cinematic Universe, but they gotta have hope,
Yeah.
and that is what this film was lacking.
I feel like someone working on this movie got what Superman was about, but it wasn't Zack Snyder.
I think maybe there's some of the writers.
I think one of the writers got it. And I think Henry Cavill gets it.
Yeah, he's great.
I really think he
I like him
gets
a lot.
what it means to be Superman.
In every interview, he says, "Keep in mind, this isn't the Superman you all know and love yet." So I think he has hope that maybe one day he'll get to play
Yeah.
the Pacific Superman. But I think he's doing what Joe's doing and saying it's young Superman. Maybe he'll grow into the inspiring figure he all know and love.
So what do you think? Do you think DC can recover?
I think I work really hard to get back from this.
Well said.
I think that, yeah, they gotta work really hard. So, thanks for sticking with us for this long discussion.
I'm exhausted.
I've been Sly Crapper.
I've been Ryan Lynch.
And I've been Ariel.
Fuck Joe.
Stay in continuity.